Hello, little ones. Tonight I'm going to tell you a collection of African bedtime stories, tales of wisdom, bravery, and kindness. These magical stories come from the heart of Africa and will take us on adventures with clever rabbits, tricky spiders, and glowing stars. So snuggle into your blankets, close your eyes, and let your imagination soar. Let's begin. The Lion and the Clever Rabbit. In a dense jungle where the sun barely touched the ground, a fierce lion ruled over all the animals. He was strong and proud, but his greed knew no bounds. One day the lion roared, "From now on, I demand a meal every day. Bring me an animal, or I will hunt you all." Terrified, the animals reluctantly agreed to take turns bringing the lion his daily meal. When it was the rabbit's turn, he decided that enough was enough. Though small, Rabbit was clever, and he hatched a plan to outsmart the greedy lion. Instead of hurrying to Lion's den, Rabbit took his time, hopping leisurely along the jungle path. Uh, when he finally arrived, Lion's patience had worn thin. "Why are you late?" the lion roared, his voice shaking the trees. Rabbit bowed low and said, "Forgive me, your majesty, but I was on my way here when another lion stopped me. He claimed to be the true king of the jungle and said I should bring the meal to him instead." Lion's eyes burned with rage. "Another lion? Where is he? Take me to him immediately." Rabbit led Lion to a deep well. As they approached, Rabbit pointed to the water and said, "He's down there, your majesty. He said you wouldn't dare face him." Lion peered into the well and saw his reflection in the water. Not realizing it was himself, he thought it was another lion staring back at him. "How dare he challenge me?" Lion roared. His reflection roared back. In a fit of anger, Lion leapt into the well, ready to fight his imagined rival. But instead of finding an enemy, he landed in cold water. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't climb back out. From that day on, the jungle was free from the lion's tyranny. The animals rejoiced, celebrating Rabbit's cleverness, and they lived happily ever after. And so, the tiny rabbit proved that cleverness is stronger than might. The Magic Tree. Far away, in a small village surrounded by an endless desert, there was a great drought. The sun blazed down relentlessly, drying up the wells and leaving the villagers with little to eat. Day after day, the people prayed for rain, but the skies remained empty and silent. One day, a group of children decided to venture beyond the village. Maybe there's food or water somewhere far away, they thought. With small baskets in hand, they set out into the wilderness, determined to find something to help their families. The desert stretched on endlessly, with waves of golden sand shimmering under the scorching heat. The children grew tired, and just as they were about to turn back, one of them shouted with excitement, "Look over there!" In the distance, they saw a giant tree standing tall and proud, unlike anything they had ever seen before. Its branches were laden with golden fruit that sparkled like jewels in the sunlight. The children's mouths watered as they hurried toward it. When they reached the tree, they eagerly tried to climb its trunk to get to the fruit, but the trunk was smooth and slippery, making it impossible to ascend. They jumped and stretched as high as they could, but the golden fruit remained just out of reach. Exhausted and frustrated, the children sat beneath the tree, wondering what to do next. Suddenly, a small bird with dazzling blue feathers flew down and perched on a low branch. The bird chirped cheerfully, "Say the magic word and the tree will bend down to you. But remember, the word only works if you keep it in your hearts." The children exchanged puzzled glances. "What's the magic word?" they asked in unison. The bird sang softly, "The word is Faru. Say it with kindness, and the tree will give you its gift." The children stood together, their hearts filled with hope and sincerity, and said, "Faru." To their amazement, the great tree began to bend slowly, lowering its branches toward the ground. Its golden fruit glistened in the sunlight as it dropped within reach. The children joyfully filled their baskets with the magical fruit, and hurried back to the village to share it with everyone. The villagers cheered and celebrated as they tasted the sweet, filling fruit. They thanked the children for their courage and kindness. But not everyone was happy. The greedy chief of the village demanded to know where the fruit had come from. Reluctantly, the children revealed the secret of the magic tree. The chief sneered and said, "I'll take all the fruit for myself." Without caring about the magic word, he rushed to the tree, shaking its branches and greedily picking as much fruit as he could carry. As the chief left, the tree began to wither. By the time he returned to the village, the fruit had turned to dust in his hands. The magic was gone. The villagers were deeply disappointed but refused to give up. Together, they planted seeds and worked as a community to grow new crops. Though the magic tree's power was lost, they discovered a new magic, their unity and determination. And so the village overcame its drought, not through greed, but through kindness and teamwork. The end. The Beauty and the Beast, an African Tale. Once upon a time, in a vibrant African village nestled between rolling green hills and a shimmering lake, there lived a wealthy but proud merchant. He had 3 daughters, each beautiful in her own way, but the youngest, Amara, was known not just for her outer beauty, but also for her kind and humble heart. One day, the merchant set off on a long journey to trade his goods. Before he left, he asked each of his daughters what they would like as a gift upon his return. The eldest asked for fine golden jewelry, the second for silk garments, but Amara simply said, "Father, bring me the most beautiful flower you can find." The merchant smiled and set off. His journey was long and treacherous, and as he neared home, he realized he had forgotten Amara's request. While passing through a dense forest, he stumbled upon a magnificent garden. It was unlike anything he had ever seen, lush with exotic plants and bursting with the scent of flowers. In the center of the garden stood a single, radiant golden lily. Thinking of Amara, he reached out to pluck it. Suddenly, a deep voice boomed. "Who dares to steal from my garden?" The merchant turned and saw a massive, fearsome creature emerge from the shadows. It was covered in fur, with eyes like embers and horns that curled like a ram's. The creature growled, "You may take the flower, but in return, you must send one of your daughters to live with me in my palace, or else you will pay with your life." Terrified, the merchant agreed and fled home with the flower. When he returned, he tearfully told his daughters of the creature's demand. Amara, understanding her father's peril, said, "I will go, father. Do not worry. Perhaps the creature is not as terrible as he seems." Amara's journey. The next morning, Amara set off alone into the forest. The trees whispered encouragement as if sensing her bravery. At last, she arrived at a grand palace hidden among the trees. It was made of ivory and gold, glittering in the sunlight. Inside, the beast awaited her. His appearance was frightening, but his voice was gentle as he welcomed her. "You are free to roam the palace and the gardens. I will not harm you," he promised. Days turned into weeks, and Amara discovered that the beast was not cruel. He was kind, wise, and lonely. They spent their evenings talking under the stars, and Amara found herself laughing at his stories and marveling at his knowledge. One day, the beast asked, "Amara, do you think you could ever care for me, despite my appearance?" Amara hesitated but said honestly, "You are kind and good, but I miss my family." The beast allowed her to visit her family, but warned, "You must return in 7 days, or I will die of heartbreak." The temptation. When Amara returned home, her sisters were jealous of the fine clothes and jewels the beast had gifted her. They tricked her into staying longer than 7 days, insisting the beast was only manipulating her. But on the 8th day, Amara felt a deep pain in her heart. She realized she missed the beast terribly. The transformation. Amara rushed back to the palace, only to find the beast lying still in the garden, surrounded by the flowers he loved. "Oh no," she cried. "You cannot leave me. I do care for you, more than anyone else in the world." As her tears fell on his fur, a golden light surrounded the beast. His form began to change, and before her stood a handsome young prince. I was cursed, he explained, to remain a beast until someone loved me for who I truly am. Your kindness and honesty broke the spell. From that day forward, the prince and Amara ruled the land together. Their palace became a haven of joy and kindness, and their story was passed down for generations, a tale of bravery, love, and seeing beyond appearances. And they lived happily ever after. Why the sun and moon live in the sky. A long time ago, the sun and moon lived on Earth as husband and wife. They were best friends with the sea, who often visited their home. One day, Sun said to Moon, "Why don't we invite Sea to visit us? It's been a while since we've seen him." Moon hesitated. "Sea is so large," she said. "If he comes, our home may not fit him." "Nonsense," said Sun. "We'll make space." So they invited Sea. When he arrived, he brought all his waters, waves, fish, and creatures. "May I come in?" asked Sea. "Of course," said Sun and Moon. But as Sea entered, the water began to rise. It filled their home, spilling over the walls. Sun and Moon climbed onto the roof, but the water kept rising. Finally, they floated into the sky, where they've lived ever since. From that day on, Sun shines brightly during the day, calling to Sea below, and at night, Moon softly glows, reflecting on their friendship. And that is how the sun and moon came to live in the sky. My little dreamers, that's the end of tonight's magical tales. I hope you've learned something special from each story. Sleep well, and may your dreams take you on wonderful adventures. Good night.